Hello and welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you're already part of the Sprinkle Squad. I'm so happy to see you again, and today we are building in Tartosa, and we are basically working on, originally I was just trying to make like a romantic park, like I imagine going for dates there, that kind of thing. It was a little bit inspired by Love Struck. So Love Struck had just come out at the time that I started this build, which was, it's been a little bit, but that's kind of what I was imagining this would be. But it actually ends up turning into a wedding venue. So I know that I've talked about it a lot, but I'm currently working on a backlog of videos, trying to go back and finish them up. And so originally when I started that, like I said, I wanted it to be a park, but when I came back to it recently and finished it up, I don't know, it just felt like it should be a wedding venue. I don't know. I started adding stuff and I was like, this would be really cute to have here. So I end up adding in that really cute heart pond and then a little heart building over here, which is actually where the bathrooms are. Obviously that's pretty important to have. And just kind of adding in that double door. I basically just took the single door and did it twice, and of course everything is pink and everything here, so that's kind of the theme. Of course, this is already up on the Sims 4 gallery if you would like to download it under my ID spicensprinkles, all one word, all lowercase, and down in the description if you want to see it written out. And per usual, if you download this and this is not the color scheme for the wedding you're trying to do, or if you don't even want to have weddings here, you just want it to be a park, then of course you can change the lot type, change the color scheme, that kind of thing, which I feel like for my own like save games, I've done that before. Like I've downloaded a wedding lot that I was looking for, and then change like the color scheme depending on what you feel like your Sims would have. And so we end up having like 4 individual little bathrooms here, as well as like this little seating area as well, which I thought ended up being really cute. And of course I definitely had to play test this because as it is right now, it didn't work. So I kind of had to scoot the toilet around in each of the little rooms so that the sim actually could use the bathroom. So what it's uploaded should work. I did play test it. So of course, be sure to use bb.move objects when you download any of my lots and a lot of creators lots. Make sure that's on. Otherwise, it'll basically like you'll lose items, that kind of thing, and your sim won't be able to use things, because without it, you definitely could not get this build to work, I don't think. Nothing would fit. Nothing would stay together. Like your sim would be like, I can't do that. Like, what are you talking about? So of course, just adding in, like I said, the little seating area here, which I really actually like doing this. I feel like I've done this several times. So I've done it in several builds. I know that I did it in my courtyard build recently as well, but I don't know. I feel like it's a really fun little seating area. I feel like it's one of those lobby foyer kind of seating, you know what I mean? I don't know when else you would have seating that would be round like that, if that makes sense. Like, it doesn't feel like something that would be super practical, say like in a living room, you know what I mean? Because you're probably all trying to talk to each other, but in here I thought it looked really cute. And then of course I do end up adding a little more, like some more fountain features as well on this lot, and you can kind of tell like at what point I decide that I'm going for the wedding aesthetic, if that makes sense, because it definitely took me a little bit. And I will say, so I don't do much terrain manipulation. I know I mentioned it during my tiny neighborhood build that I just did, and I have a hard time with stairs. Like when I'm trying to have stairs go from one level to another, I always have an issue of them not fitting right, like it doing something weird with the terrain. So it definitely took me a minute. So I think there is a little bit of a jump at some point where all of a sudden it looks a little different and I do have stairs. It's because I couldn't make you sit there and watch me actually figure it out, because it took a while. It took a long time to actually figure out. And of course, just adding trees around here. I really just wanted that floral, like romantic kind of feel. So I tried to find all of the trees we have in the game kind of that have lights in them. Like, because I just felt like that would be really cute. It would look really cute at night. And I even end up adding, I think the lights I put in that back right tree are the ones that are like out of Debug Live Edit from Cottage Living, I believe that's where those are from. And basically they are literally just lights, and like, so you kind of have to position it on the tree so that it makes sense. But like I said, I just wanted lights everywhere and just for it to be really cute. And I did play test it. It didn't have any issues in terms of Sims being able to get around. You can have a bartender here. I will say that there's not a kitchen. So, you know, you're going to want your sim to bring a wedding cake with them. I figure since this isn't Tartosa, then your sim can go like buy one or now, you know, or make one or whatever. And so to be sure to bring that with them, and that you don't really need a caterer on this lot because I end up using the Wedding Stories buffet little table things, so you can just add food to those, which honestly I feel like makes your life a whole lot easier. Than I feel like it's difficult to have a caterer in The Sims. I feel like they just kind of do stuff. Sometimes they actually cook, sometimes they don't. I don't know, maybe that's me. And then finding the food, putting it where you want to so your Sims can actually get to it, that kind of thing, it can be a little bit annoying, at least in my experience. So I just kind of instead used the little buffet tables. But we do have a bar and we do have a table. I think I end up having enough seats for maybe 8 to 12 people, because I think you can have 15. So of course, if you do have a bigger wedding, you can add more seating. But I find too that Sims don't necessarily all sit at the same time. like you don't necessarily need all of the seats. You don't have to have the same amount of seats you have as Sims, because they don't usually do everything at the same time, if you know what I mean. And I do end up adding in a small like gift table as well. I always like adding that to my wedding venues, although I feel like, I don't know, I guess you can tell me. Like, I honestly have not been to many weddings. Like, I don't know, I guess my friends just haven't gotten married, that kind of thing, or they have really small weddings. Or actually I threw a reception for a couple friend of mine actually in my home. So it's just a little bit like different. I guess I haven't been to those weddings where there's like a lot of people. But I feel like a lot of people are using online registries these days. Like, do people really have like present kind of areas anymore? Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I hope I'm making sense. Like, I think I ended up, when I was getting married, I ended up using a like online registry thing for homes. So at the time we were actually buying our first home as well. I don't know, that was insane. I don't know if I would recommend it. Like, we ended up literally getting married, going on our honeymoon for like 5 days, coming back, and the next day signing for our house, and then moving in like a couple days later. Like like it was insane. So like, and we also like, because we got engaged in October and then we got married in December. So like all of that happened within like just a couple of months, and that was wild. Like, I don't recommend it. I don't know how we ended up pulling it off, but we did. But anyways, the whole reason I brought that up was because we used a registry that was meant for like people buying a home, so you could like put money towards, you know, a down payment, or like that's what we wanted as gifts, you know what I mean? Since we were both like established people that had like everything, we had duplicates of everything, so we didn't necessarily need like extra things, if that made sense. Like, we had 2 couches and several beds and like all, you know what I mean? We both had stuff, like a whole like apartment's worth of stuff. So anyways, that was really long-winded, but basically, do people still do that, or is it more like online registries now? I don't know. You can let me know in the comments, like, if you have any experience with that. I feel like I always see those, you know, on TV and like other things, like you see people planning these huge weddings, and I don't know, I've never been to one of those huge weddings, to be honest. Like, I don't know. And I think I was like a flower girl when I was a kid, like once. And I think that was it felt like maybe the biggest wedding I've ever been to, but at the same time I was a kid, so maybe it just felt huge. I don't know. I don't know why I'm like going off on a tangent about weddings. I guess I am making a wedding venue, so I guess it does make sense. But you can see, I tried so many things with these stairs, and I ended up, that's honestly why I stopped with this build, because I was a little bit frustrated, and then we kind of come back and it's just there. And that's because when I came back to start building again, I was like, I've got to figure out these stairs. Like, that's the first thing I need to do. So I figured out how to get those working, and I ended up lowering the terrain a little bit on that top tier. And I will say, my original plan was to kind of decorate all of that, like the hillside of all of those levels, but I ended up not doing that. I'm not going to lie. It honestly just... I don't even know how to do that properly, to be honest. I should have left a little more like room to like set plants, but since I had it at such an angle, plants didn't want to stick to it. It was a whole thing. I did do a build where I did cover a whole hillside in plants and stuff. That was my lighthouse build, which if you haven't seen it, it is up on the channel and is honestly one of my favorites. I don't know why. I think it just looked so cute. I was streaming it at the time, and it took me, I think I ended up doing an 8-hour stream. Like, why? Because I really wanted to finish that build, and it took me 8 hours, which is wild. I don't know. And I actually, like, people actually watched me build that, which was kind of crazy. Like, I had such a good time, and it was so nice having people, you know, hang out with me while I was building that. But it really was such a cool build. I really liked the way it came out. So anyways, if you're interested in a lighthouse home, you know, that is available on the gallery and up on the channel if you want to see it. And this is kind of where I start thinking about maybe I need to make it a wedding venue. So I end up like having a grill here, but that's where I end up swapping it out for a bar instead, because I feel like that makes a little more sense for a wedding venue. And I do that a little bit later. So when we go to the other hill, I don't know what to call it, well, like the area, that's when I kind of figure out that's what I want to do, because I don't know. I originally thought it'd be cute to have little picnic blankets up there. That kind of thing was kind of what I was originally going for. But then it just, I don't know, it started feeling like maybe it should be a wedding venue instead. I ended up actually using the Riviera Retreat rocks as well up on the hill as like a little fountain, which I think turned out really nicely. And of course, just adding in flowers everywhere. They're all over the place. You know me, I can't help it. I've got to put them everywhere, and they're all like this really pretty pink, which hopefully a lot of these have a lot of different color swatches. Like I said, if you want to swap up the colors, then you hopefully should be able to do that without too many issues. Although, of course, those low-lying plants, those like purpley pink ones, I don't think those have anything else. Of course, I definitely went into debug and live edit to find stuff. I feel like that's a great place to find landscaping. I find a lot of the stuff I use there just because you get access to a lot of things that otherwise you wouldn't. And you get access to stuff that has more swatches, if that makes sense. Like that tall bush right there in the front, it actually comes in a darker color, which is really nice for some builds, but you can only get that in the debug live edit menu. And of course, adding in all of the candles and things, because it just, I don't know, I love having like decorating with candles and lanterns and stuff, especially for weddings. When I ever do that for my Sims, I end up doing that. And I feel like I talk a lot about gameplay. Like, I do actually do gameplay in my spare time. I just don't necessarily really make videos about it. The only gameplay I have done is videos I did over on Twitch, which if you go on my second channel, Extra Spice and Sprinkles, they have, I say they, that's me, that channel. My other channel has all those uploads, so if you want to go see some of my gameplay, that kind of thing, feel free to do so. We ended up doing a Big Sister challenge, and I think I still have some streams that I haven't uploaded since forever ago, so I should probably do that. I don't know. Hopefully I get back to streaming eventually. That's kind of my goal, but we'll see when that happens. So right now I'm just trying to stay consistent with posting speed builds again, since I kind of took a break from everything for a while. And I love the way this little fountain came out. It was so cute. I felt like it was such a focal point. We ended up putting a piano over there, and we put a little dance floor over there, and it was actually so I was building this, and after I built it, I actually showed my mom. So Mama's Spicy, so I've talked about her on the channel before, and I can't remember if it was this build or one of my other builds that I did recently. They had like some of those like wildflowers that you get out of cottage living, and literally I love them, but she was like, how do you get rid of those? Can you get rid of those? Like she didn't like my wildflowers, which, listen, I understand it looks a little overgrown, but I think it just adds a little bit of texture, if that makes sense. Otherwise it just felt a little plain, especially since it's like a park. It's got that wildflower look, but of course those you can get rid of if you'd like to. So if you don't like them, I know it's definitely a personal taste kind of thing. And adding in that really beautiful floral thing. What is that? What would you call it? It's not really a tint. Is it a pergola? Would you consider it a pergola? Maybe, but that's gorgeous. That is so beautiful, and I can only imagine how expensive that would be to actually have that at your wedding. And then over here, I end up putting two of the buffet table things, one of which with like the punch or chocolate fountain, and one with the thing with champagne or whatever they call it in The Sims, so that you can have a toast. And then I also have that middle white table to use for cake. So your Sims can put that there and cut it and all that kind of stuff. So you have a place to put the cake. And I think in my screenshots, there actually is a cake there from when I was playtesting it. So somehow I convinced the Sims not to eat it. And it was so funny. Originally, I was making this a park. So the lot type was a park. And it kept saying, oh, you need like the playground equipment, so like the swings and stuff. And then I realized I'm not doing a park anymore. So I do swap it to a wedding venue, and then that way I don't have to have that anymore. But I just thought it was funny. I do end up leaving it, but it occurred to me that I'm not doing that anymore. So I was still like going by the lot requirements for a park, which I don't know if I've actually ever built a park in The Sims. Like I don't think I ever have. So maybe I need to do that eventually. I guess it's not something that's like super exciting to me to build. I guess maybe because I don't necessarily go super often with my own Sims, or when I do, I just go to the ones we have and I edit those if I need to. So I don't know, maybe I need to do that eventually. So let me know if that's something I should try. And yeah, so just adding in cute little floating flower lanterns there in the fountain, and then of course adding terrain paint all over the place, because I think it just adds a little bit of something and makes it look a little more realistic when there's actually dirt around flowers, plants, and buildings and things like that. But if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I would really appreciate it, and I hope you have a really sweet day. Bye, everybody.